There's a secret most men never discover. A woman's breasts are not just curves to admire. They are emotional and neurological gateways wired directly to her deepest feelings of safety, attraction, and surrender. The way you touch them can make her feel cherished, adored, and utterly irresistible to you, or it can shut her down completely. If you think this is just about physical pleasure, you've already missed the point. The real magic happens when your touch becomes an unspoken language that speaks to her soul. Before you ever touch a woman's breasts, you must first understand that their sensitivity is not just physical, it's deeply emotional. This is where most men fail because they think hands and fingers are enough, when in truth, her body responds to the meaning behind your touch. Her breasts are neurologically connected to her brain's pleasure centers, yes, but also to her limbic system, the part of the brain that processes trust, bonding, and emotional connection. This means that if she does not feel emotionally safe with you, no technique in the world will truly awaken her. When a woman allows you near her chest, she's inviting you into one of the most intimate spaces of her being. This isn't just skin, it's the place where she has felt the warmth of her own heartbeat since childhood, where she has learned the meaning of comfort and closeness. To touch her here with careless hands is to risk turning magic into nothing more than a mechanical act. But to approach with respect, intention, and reverence is to open a door few men ever see. Your touch must begin long before skin meets skin. It starts with your energy. Are you rushed? Are you distracted? Are you simply chasing a reaction from her body? If so, she will feel it instantly. Women have an unshakable ability to read the emotional fingerprint of a man's touch. If you bring calm, patience, and genuine admiration, her body will recognize it and begin to open before you've even made contact. As your hands approach, imagine your palms as transmitters of emotion. Your goal is not to take from her, but to give warmth, protection, and a sense of being completely seen. Move slowly, as though each inch is an invitation, not an expectation. Your eyes, your breathing, your presence, all of these should tell her you are safe here. This is what allows her brain to release oxytocin, in the bonding hormone that deepens emotional connection, and dopamine, which heightens pleasure. Without this chemical cocktail flowing through her body, physical touch will remain shallow. It's also crucial to understand her emotional blueprint. Every woman has a unique relationship with her body. Some have been celebrated and adored in this area of themselves. Others may carry insecurities or past experiences that make this territory more delicate. A wise man does not rush. He listens not just to her words, but to her micro reactions, the shift of her breath, the way her shoulders soften or tense, the subtle hum in her voice. These cues are the map to her pleasure. When you truly understand the emotional foundation of her sensitivity, your touch becomes more than physical contact. It becomes a language of belonging. You are no longer just touching her body. You are touching the place where her femininity, her desire, and her trust all meet. That is where true breast pleasure begins. Touching a woman's breasts is not an isolated act, it is the climax of an emotional buildup. The human brain is wired to respond to anticipation, and for women, this anticipation is not just physical, it's psychological. Her nervous system works like an orchestra. Every note you play before you touch her will determine how the music sounds when you finally do. If you try to rush, you rob her of the symphony her body is capable of producing. Trust is the foundation. Without it, her guard remains up. And when her guard is up, her body will subconsciously protect itself from deeper pleasure. Science shows that when a woman feels completely safe, her body releases oxytocin more freely, lowering her defenses and allowing her to receive sensation more openly. The way you look at her, the way you speak, the way you honor her boundaries, all of this creates the trust that will later explode into desire. Slow anticipation is an art. It begins before you even touch her physically. Your words, your presence, and your subtle gestures create a silent language that says, I'm not here to rush. I'm here to explore you. Eye contact becomes a warm tether between you. A hand on her back, a gentle brush against her arm, or even the way you adjust her hair can send silent signals to her nervous system. You are safe and you are desired. By the time your hands move towards her chest, she should feel as though this is a natural, inevitable progression, not a sudden grab. Every second of delay builds a powerful charge in her body. The brain's pleasure centers light up not only from touch, but from the expectation of touch. That's why slow is powerful. It lets her mind and body sink in delicious suspense. The atmosphere is not just about dim lights and soft music, though those help, it's about your energy. Women respond to the energy behind your actions. If your energy says, I am present, I am in control, and I value you, her body will soften. If your energy says, I'm impatient, I want to skip to the end, her body will close. In this slow build, you're not just preparing her body for physical sensation. You're awakening her mind to the fact that you see her as more than just a body. This emotional buildup transforms every touch into something electric. And when the moment finally comes, the trust you've built and the anticipation you've woven will make your hands feel like they carry fire. That's when she not only lets you in physically, but emotionally, and that is where true connection lies. A woman's breath is the most honest truth her body will ever give you. Unlike words, it cannot lie. When you learn to read and match her breathing, you tap into a rhythm that bypasses thought and speaks directly to her nervous system. This is where your touch stops feeling like an action and starts feeling like a connection. Science tells us that breathing is directly tied to the autonomic nervous system, the same system that controls arousal. Fast, shallow breathing often signals excitement or anxiety. Slow, deep breaths signal relaxation and readiness. Your mission is to create harmony between your movements and her breathing pattern, so her mind and body feel fully attuned to you. As you touch her, notice her inhale and exhale. If she takes a deep breath in, match it with a slow, gentle movement. If her breath quickens, meet that energy with slightly more pressure or rhythm. This alignment tells her subconscious we are in sync. It communicates that you are not just touching her, you are feeling her. But syncing isn't just about matching. It's also about guiding. If her breathing is short and fast due to tension, you can intentionally slow your own breathing to invite her to relax. The human body unconsciously mirrors those it feels connected to. If she senses your calm, deep rhythm, her body will follow, allowing pleasure to build without anxiety blocking the way. There's also an emotional rhythm. This is the flow of her energy in the moment. Sometimes it will be shy and soft. Sometimes it will be bold and eager. Your job is not to force her into one state, but to ride the wave of what she's naturally offering and then gently nudge her toward deeper openness. Imagine your hands and her breath as dance partners. Every inhale is a step closer. Every exhale is a surrender. This creates a feedback loop in her nervous system where each breath amplifies the pleasure from your touch, and each touch deepens her breath. The more you stay tuned in, the more she feels she can let go. When this synchronization happens, time seems to slow. She stops thinking about how she looks, what's happening next, or whether she's doing it right. She's simply in the moment with you, her body moving on instinct. That's when touching her breasts is no longer about physical technique. It's about the powerful truth that you are connected, body and soul, in a rhythm that feels like it was written just for the two of you. Many men think pleasure comes from big, bold movements, but when it comes to a woman's breasts, Subtlety is the secret weapon. The skin here is covered with thousands of nerve endings, and those nerve endings respond differently to different kinds of touch. A light brush of the fingertips can send a shiver down her spine, while a gentle circular movement can coax out a slow, deep sigh. The difference between a reaction and a wave is often measured in millimeters. Micro movements are small, intentional shifts of your fingers, palms, or thumbs that stimulate her in delicate, unpredictable ways. When you move slowly and subtly, you activate not just her skin's surface nerves, but the deeper pressure receptors connected to her pleasure pathways. These signals travel to her brain in layers, which is why she can experience building waves rather than one sudden peak. Start small, your hands should feel like they're exploring, not performing a routine. Imagine tracing invisible patterns, swirls, spirals, figure, rates each movement an invitation for her body to follow you deeper. The smaller and slower your movements, the more her brain tunes into the details, magnifying every sensation. This is backed by neuroscience. When you vary pressure and motion, her sensory cortex lights up more intensely than when movements are repetitive or predictable. The real magic of micro movements is how they create contrast. A slow, delicate trace followed by a slightly firmer caress wakes her body up in unexpected ways. It's the change in texture and pressure that keeps her from adapting and becoming numb to sensation. This is why mechanical, repetitive touching often feels flat. Her brain stops paying attention. Think of it like music. A single note played over and over loses its magic, but when you mix tones, tempos, and pauses, the song comes alive. In the same way, alternating between feather, light strokes, gentle squeezes, and stillness can drive her to deeper levels of awareness and excitement. Your focus here is not to rush her toward a goal, but to layer pleasure until her body starts responding involuntarily. This could be a subtle arch of her back, a deeper breath, a sound she doesn't even realize she's making. Those are signs that you've moved beyond physical touch into the territory of pure, unfiltered pleasure. And once you've unlocked that door with micro movements, every touch you give will feel amplified, as if her skin remembers you long after your hands have left. A woman's body speaks a language all its own. The secret to touching her breasts in a way that truly awakens her is not just in the technique, but in your ability to listen to what her body is telling you moment by moment. These signals are not always obvious. They can be as small as the way her breath catches, the way her shoulders shift, or the way her chest rises to meet your hand without her even thinking about it. The first rule, never assume. What worked yesterday might not be what she wants today. Desire is fluid, influenced by mood, stress, hormones, and countless other factors. Your role is not to force a certain outcome, but to read the room of her body and move accordingly. Her breathing, her skin temperature, the subtle changes in her muscle tension. These are her way of telling you whether she wants more, less, faster, slower. If her breathing deepens and her body leans toward you, that's a green light to continue or intensify. If she pulls back slightly, pauses her breathing, or stiffens, that's your cue to soften and slow down. Intuitive precision means adjusting without breaking the flow. If she gives you a small sigh, you might hold your hand still for a moment, letting the sensation sink in before moving again. If she arches her back slightly, you might shift your pressure to match the angle of her body. This shows her you're paying attention, not just performing a set of motions. The deeper you tune in, the more she feels like you're not just touching her, you're understanding her. And that understanding is intoxicating. It makes her feel safe to let go of control because she knows you're paying attention to the language her body is speaking. This skill isn't learned overnight. It's the product of patience, awareness, and a genuine desire to give rather than take. When you master this, every moment feels tailor, made for her, as if your hands have learned the secret script of her pleasure. And when she feels that, her body will respond in ways that words could never capture. That's when touching her breasts stops being an action and becomes an experience she'll never forget.